I'm on an eyeshadow no-buy this year and it's going pretty well, but I wanted to make a video about why it's going so well, and the short answer is PR, because I'm me and I'm always in my feelings and I feel like I need to share my feelings with you. I wanted to talk about my relationship with makeup and how it's changed, and I think it's an important conversation, and I think it's something that we're always thinking about in the back of our minds when we watch content creators. Our relationships with makeup are all very different. I want to break it down as to like why I went on the eyeshadow no buy in the first place. I think I want to do some self-reflection. I don't play with eyeshadow that much anymore in like a creative way. Now, today I obviously did something different, but also used an eyeshadow palette that I received in PR, which we'll talk about in a second. And so I felt like a want to be playful with makeup, but this is like not the norm for me. I'm not always trying to like do some bright and colorful makeup looks. I really kind of keep it simple with my eyeshadow. I love beautiful eyeshadows. I love texture. I love different colors, but I play with them in a pretty reserved way now and kind of like do the same basic eye shape all the time. And I just like put different colors in different placements. So like if I'm gonna do a blue eyeshadow look, I might just pick a sparkly blue eyeshadow and put it on a couple of like browns, and then that's the whole look. And I also just feel like my relationship with eyeshadow is just so different from when I started makeup. I used to love eyeshadow. It used to be my number one thing. It used to be like every time a palette was released, I wanted it just because it was new eyeshadow, because I just loved playing with eyeshadow so much. But as I have gotten older and as my relationship with makeup has gone longer, I've been doing makeup for almost 8 years now. Now I know some of you are in a lifelong relationship with makeup, but I just didn't get into it until I was in my mid-20s. But as I grow, I just find complexion to be the thing that I'm more interested in, mostly because not that I'm self-conscious about my skin or anything like that. It is the thing that I think does the most for me overall. And I don't think I have bad skin, and I'm not like trying to be youthful in any way. It's just I like the way it makes my skin look, and that's what I'm interested in. I love blushes, I love a highlighter, I love shimmer goos, I love bronzer. Like that's the stuff that I'm very invested in. So me bringing in a lot of eyeshadow to my collection is kind of a fruitless thing for me. Like it just, I have enough. I have enough eyeshadow, I have enough slices. Like I have so much eyeshadow that I don't even get to touch all of the time because I'm just kind of doing the same stuff over and over again. But I like to have the options. I don't think it's not worthwhile for me to have some of the eyeshadows I have. If you weren't here last year, I did a pretty decent job getting rid of most of my eyeshadow palettes. I tried to really keep it to what I would use if I was going to use it at all. Right now I've been really into like single shadows, and I do a little bit of a cream shadow base and I slap one of those on and I'm like, wow, I've never looked more beautiful. That's my favorite thing I've ever done. So it doesn't behoove me to buy more eyeshadow, and I really want to keep a makeup collection that I am interested in, and I'm interested in complexion. Those are the things that I look for the nitty gritty in. But to me, at this point, I know what eyeshadow formulas I like. I know what kind of eyeshadow looks I'm going to make. So there's no need for me to explore beyond what I already like. Now, a lot of people are the opposite of me. You're hearing this and you're like, yeah, I could buy the same foundation until I die. I'm going to be okay. But I want to play with all of the eyeshadows. But it's like, to me, there's like only so many colors. And I also know that should I not have a specific color in my collection, I could probably use a couple different colors, blend my brush into a couple of them and kind of make whatever the color I feel like I want to make is, if I'm really that dire for it. But like, I just am not the super creative eyeshadow person that I once was, and I don't really have a desire to be. But I see people doing it all the time. I think it's an incredible art form, but that is not what eyeshadow is for me anymore. So I just don't want to bring as much in. Not only that, from the creator's perspective, it does actually behoove me to be into eyeshadow. Any video that eyeshadow palette is in the title of my video performs better than all of my other videos. So like Critical Sass is my most popular series, but everything that I've done with eyeshadow palettes, eyeshadow declutters, rearranging my Pat McGrath palette, anything that like has to do with specifically eyeshadows does so much better than the rest of the content on my channel. So I'm just saying that as a content creator, if I was someone who was really into eyeshadows and I wanted to buy all of them and I wanted to review all of them for you, my videos would probably do better than they do right now, and I would probably have a different audience than I do, which is not something I desire. I'm okay growing my channel organically. I'm not looking to have some kind of viral moment. I'm just mentioning to you that like eyeshadow palettes are kind of the way, the truth of life for most people. I especially feel like people who are just now getting into makeup and realizing there are so many brands that they can buy eyeshadow from, they want to see all of those palettes. They're living in that excitement that I once lived in for eyeshadow palettes, but I just like, I'm not there anymore. I also want to talk about getting eyeshadow in PR. I think the most interesting brand that I've gotten PR from is the brand Bella Beauté Bar. So they sent me their new palette, The Secret Garden. That's what I have on my eyes today. I'm also affiliated with them. This isn't a sales pitch on this, but here's a palette, right? And they sent this to me. It was very kind. I thought it was very sweet that they would send it to me because I just don't feel like I'm very sellable to indie brands, but like this is what I was gifted. It's so gorge, right? It's really pretty. It's actually an eyeshadow palette color story that I'm pretty into, but still it's not a bunch of eyeshadows that I use. I feel really blessed that any brand would send me anything, but whenever I get to try eyeshadow formulas that I didn't pay for, and this is no shade to Bella Beauty for, I wouldn't have bought this had they not sent it to me. It has nothing to do with the quality of the eyeshadows. It has nothing to do with the color story because I think it's pretty. I think the eyeshadows so far have been working really well for me. Like I've been enjoying my time with it, but like if I didn't have this, I wouldn't feel like I'm at a loss, right? So it's like there's no, the passion is just not there for whenever I'm like discussing eyeshadows. Also, another thing is I don't like watching eyeshadow palette reviews. They don't do anything for me unless it's inherently negative. And that's not because I like want to see negative content. I just find that a lot of eyeshadow brands are okay, if not excellent at their formulas at this point. So it's like, I just want to know which brands to avoid, if I should avoid a certain palette. Like I think that's more valuable information than like positive eyeshadow. And just like a video about a singular eyeshadow, and this is the pot calling the kettle black for real right now. I'll watch an hour-long video about a complexion product. Tell me everything. And I know that some people, whenever they're watching reviews on eyeshadow, but like you could just be like, at the very end of your video, be like, this was a good formula. And that's all I need to know. I don't need to know how every specific shade works in an eyeshadow palette because I just don't care. I don't care. And that's just like my relationship with eyeshadow palettes. I'll talk about this on its own, but like this is way too big for me. It's way too many shades for me and like what I'm into. Like I don't need as many shades of eyeshadow. I don't need to bring that much into my life. It's too many slices. A lot of the shades in here already like in their own way. So like would this have been, again, not something I would have bought? And I think that's just important to like acknowledge as my relationship continues to grow. But I do want to talk about just like receiving PR in general. It's been different this year for sure. So a lot of you started following me whenever I had like no PR. No one was really that subscribed to me. My videos were maybe getting a few hundred views on each one, but like that's just different now. And now that I have more eyes on me, I have more opportunities. Now, again, I say this all the time, but I don't know how much people believe me. I refuse PR quite a bit. Like I don't accept everything. And it's not always from major brands. It's like sometimes there's smaller brands who reach out to me. If I'm genuinely not interested, or I don't think any of you would be interested in, it's like I'm like, we'll pass on it. And there are just some brands that I just don't want to work with. And it's not because they've been shady to me personally. It's just like, and I'll call one out. Like if say were to reach out to me, and they never have, so this is just a true example. I don't want their PR. I don't want to try their makeup. It's not something that I'm interested in. If I ever did want to review them, if there was ever something that I would just buy it. Like, but I'm not interested in working with, say, like that's not a brand that like I have any kind of affinity for. But like, I also have received PR from brands that I like never thought I would get PR from. And I think CoverGirl is the best example of that. Now, the only reason I accepted PR from CoverGirl initially was because they had released something that I was interested in and then they offered it to me. I didn't reach out to them. I don't know how they found me, but they did. What I didn't know was that now I'm just gonna get their PR. And so like, that's different. And if I ever get overwhelmed with it, I will ask them to stop sending it to me. But I have really enjoyed getting it as like a touchstone for some drugstore makeup, which is not a world I feel like I really want to dive into, but it's getting that sent my way to be able to speak to it a little bit is nice. I have a channel, and while I'm not the person who's sitting up here doing all of the comparisons of all of the things to show you all of the nuances and differences between everything on the market, which is not something I want, but being able to speak to a little bit to just offer some alternatives, or also being like delighted by something I never would have tried, it's pretty cool. PR is a very, very fun privilege to have, to get makeup just sent to you because there's only one brand that I've ever received PR with an obligation to post, and it was Merit, and I don't really get PR from them anymore, probably because I reviewed the last thing I was told I had to review pretty poorly. So, it is what it is. And it doesn't matter, like my relationship with brands is not as important to me as being honest with you and myself, right? Like I'm not gonna try to make something work that isn't working for me, because it's like, I want to be as honest as I can be. I will also say this, and like I have control over this, but it's weird. Like PR has only specifically come to me in waves where it's like there will be no PR and then like 5 brands will be sending me PR. It's a little bit overwhelming because I feel like I'm always playing a game of catch up. It's interesting now. It probably would have been better if I like got PR last year. Again, I'm doing a lot of things different this year on like not really like on my channel, like a little bit, like I'm posting less. You probably have noticed that, but I've been posting less for like good reason. I was pretty much a recluse last year, and I like kind of cut off communication with so many people. And like this year I've been trying to be more of a real person who is like going out and seeing people, which I've really enjoyed, but it has slowed down my ability to make content. Not only that, the content I'm trying to make is not all about new stuff. So I try to only feature like brand new stuff, like once a week if I'm posting 3 videos, or like once every couple of videos, so that I'm not only talking about newness. I want to talk about stuff that's been in my collection forever. I want to love that stuff too. It's interesting to like now as my channel is growing, which makes sense that they would be like, more people are watching you. Maybe you're worthwhile for us as NPR too. As my channel has grown, I'm like kind of stepping back from it a little bit more than I had. My energy tank has been lower because I've been seeing people more. I'm an introvert at heart. I like seeing people, but it doesn't energize my battery. It completely depletes it. And there have been a couple of weeks in a row where I have been seeing people like 3 nights in a row, 4 nights in a row, and and then it comes Sunday morning and I feel like dead to the world, and like I have to spend all of that day regaining my energy and just kind of like sitting in my room and really not even like seeing Tiff that much during the day, even though we live in the same house. But it's just like that's how depleted seeing people makes me. And so then I don't have energy to do this because this requires a little bit of oddness. PR has just it's just changed my relationship with makeup to me. And like I know so many people would like think that PR is the ultimate dream for them, especially whenever you're not buying makeup. That and it is, again, it's a privilege, it's very, very nice, but the reality of PR makes it feel like it's more of a job. I have come to peace with like makeup being my job and also a passion of mine come butting heads sometime. This is a job. I make money doing this. I have a Patreon, I have channel memberships, and I also make money on AdSense. And the PR is coming to me because I have been successful in growing all of those things. I don't always like thoroughly review everything. There was a brand that sent me PR that I just decided not to talk about. Like, there, you know, there's a bunch of things that I've like, I'm making decisions all of the time, but like for me to pick this up, interact with this, test it, and review it, one, it's taking away from like other things that I would like to enjoy because I don't wear makeup every day. And now, a lot of the time where I am wearing makeup, even in my free time, I'm probably putting something on to test because it's like, well, this is the time I have for it. And while I would love to be up at 6 a.m. every morning, well, I'm up at 6 a.m. every morning. I have to start work at 6 a.m. I start work at 6 a.m. So for me to wear makeup before work, I would have to like wake up at 5. But I'm not doing that. And it's not because I'm like lazy or whatever. It's just like I'm in my house. I'm just in my house. And then when I do my makeup after work, it's normally because I'm filming a video or I'm going to see a friend. And, you know, I was doing those get ready with me videos, which I know a lot of you really enjoyed, but like they were tanking. And I'm not always numbers motivated, but when a video doesn't do well, even though you don't care that it doesn't do well, it like affects the greater good of your channel. It's so weird how algorithms work. The same thing happened when I worked at Sephora. The relationship was like a little bit different, right? But my relationship as a consumer before I worked at Sephora was different than when I was a makeup loving person who worked at Sephora, because makeup became work. So again, like I left Sephora, I was doing these out of passion, and like it is work. And even if it is fun work, and it is fun work, I enjoy doing this. I like it. I love filming videos. I have even come around. I enjoy editing them most of the time because I feel like I'm getting better at editing. Like I am always getting joy out of doing this, but it is work. And I think to not call it that, even if you are someone who does not make money making content, to pretend it's not work is dismissing what you're doing, because it requires time and it requires energy and it requires so many things that like people neglect to realize if you're not making it. And I'm not saying that anyone's being like ungrateful. It is work. That's why some people are doing it as their full-time job, because it is work. They are putting out energy and they're putting things together for us to consume. That is work, and they are being compensated for it. My relationship as someone who works in the makeup industry, as someone who is a content creator, my relationship with makeup is just different. And I don't know, maybe you have noticed this, and I don't feel like any less passionate about makeup, but a lot of what I try, I kind of end up giving like a pretty mid review, because like a lot of makeup's really good right now. And it's just like, sometimes I feel like trying it once, I'm like, well, now I know. Like, that's that. I love putting things through the test, but it's just, you know, it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes when I have so much stuff to try and review, when I also am trying to like focus on my own makeup collection. I could, you know, decide to stop, but I like getting PR. I like trying formulas. I love getting my hands on things. I love knowing about things. I really love that. And I love that I have the opportunity and privilege to do that. I think being honest about it is going to be helpful for everyone. And I think this is the thing that's most common in everyone's mind when they're watching someone review something they received in PR, is like, I get things for free sometimes. I don't know what it would have been like to part ways with however much money that thing is, unless I did, which I do obviously still buy things to review for myself. Like I still pay money for makeup, you know, I still have that buy-in sometimes, but that's also different for me too, because it's like, okay, I bought an hourglass powder, right? And I put it in some videos, and then over the course of the videos, I make, you know, $60 over the course of the 3 videos. So then like that compact ends up being paid for. That's not happening for you. You don't get the benefit of like buying a piece of makeup and then also earning money back because you paid for it. Like, you know, because you're making content with it. It's like an ever evolving thing, and it's such an interesting place to find myself in. Yeah, so I hope this doesn't come across like I'm complaining. My life and my relationship to makeup and spending is just completely different than it was even like 6 months ago. And I just wanted to like talk about it and acknowledge it. It's really easy for people in my position to say like, I'm going on a no buy because there's still makeup coming in otherwise. So for me to say like, I'm on an eyeshadow no buy, it's not the same thing as you saying you're on an eyeshadow no buy. Temptation's a little bit different. Like one, it's like eyeshadow's not something I'm super interested in, and it's not something I'm buying a lot of. Really, it wasn't stuff that I bought, something I bought a lot of last year. It's just like, I just don't need it, right? Like I just don't need to be buying it. I just noticed that like, I haven't even been tempted by much eyeshadow. There is one that almost made me break my eyeshadow no buy, and I just want to talk about it a little bit. Byredo released a new eyeshadow palette, one of the large eyeshadow palettes, and I think it's stunning. It's the first eyeshadow palette that has come out, or like basically eyeshadow in general, that made me go, I'd break my no buy for that. Like it's like not that I'm going to, but like I've contemplated breaking my no buy for this eyeshadow palette because I think it's interesting. I love that it's a luxury brand. I love that they made an interesting color story, because I feel like Byredo's large palettes have by and large been like warm color stories, and this feels like just a little bit different. It gives me the energy of subculture, but like a little bit more refined. Like that's what I'm seeing when I see this. And I love the subculture palette whenever I had it back in the day. And I feel like these are those tones in something that I would wear now, because like I still am inspired by these tones, but like the way that I've explored these tones in the past has been a little more intense. And I just feel like Byredo has made something that I felt like I would wear. But it's also like a little bit easier for me to say that. But also like there is a possibility, and like I don't know, they're probably not going to, but like, you know, stranger things have happened to me at this point on this channel, where like Byredo could be like, we'll just send it to you. Like the Izumaya palette that I got sent last year, like I couldn't have guessed that that was going to happen. I didn't know that they were going to watch the critical sass where I really like came at them. So like, you know, you never know what's going to happen. But like I'm not gonna buy this Byredo palette, and I'm not gonna buy any more eyeshadows this year. But like again, if they send me to PR, I choose to be open about this, because it's like, yeah, if you were here from the beginning, the channel's not the same. And I understand that. And there are certainly people who choose not, they could build a channel and choose not to get PR and choose not to, but like, I'm interested in this kind of thing. And I think you are too, but like, I just want you to know that I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground as much as I can as I continue to go through this process. And I think touching base on like being real with you about how easy my eyeshadow no buy has been going, and relating that to all of the other factors is really important, because I'm not an eyeshadow no buy and not accepting eyeshadow from brands. Like that's not what's happening. I didn't choose to proceed that way, but it is an option for me, where it's not going to be an option for a lot of you who are doing no buys at home. For example, if I decided next year to go on a no buy of makeup, let's just assume my channel continues to grow at the rate it is, and then like I assume by the end of the year I might have about like 8,000 subscribers. Who knows? Something could happen. You never know. You just like never know with the way the internet works. But let's say, and that's like enough for brands to want to send you PR. And like if I went on a no buy, I probably would still accept PR from brands just to have something new every now and then. But that's a privilege. That's not something I, so like, you know, I'd have to like stop all the PR, and it's not something I really want to do. But I'm just saying, like, keep your ears open and your eyes open as you see like other people saying that they're doing that, or claiming that they want to do that, if they are at the level that I'm at or higher. Like if they have more subscribers, more access than even I do. Because if we have that kind of access, a no buy for us is different than a no buy for you. And our reasoning for doing a no buy now is different. Like my first no buy, like the no buy I did where I did a 6-month no buy, was simply to make sure that I was not spending all of my extra money on makeup. And like that was really helpful. But my budget year was just to make sure I could be consistent with that while I was, you know, having a YouTube channel. And then I have kind of learned that like because of all of the other things coalescing, I don't need to really keep track of it that much anymore because my relationship with makeup changed. So I'm not always interested in buying everything because I also feel like sometimes something gets sent to me. And I also feel like just the way of makeup is right now, a lot of things are going to be fine, if not really excellent. There's very few things that get released that are like absolute trash. And that's okay. And I'm also not really interested in making videos that are just like completely dissing a product unless I feel like I've been let down by like something that I would have held in high regard otherwise. That's all. I think that's gonna wrap up this video. Sorry it was pretty ranty at you. I mean, if you didn't catch the vibe and you are new to my channel is supposed to be about loving my makeup collection as it currently is, and you know, helping you and help myself be more discerning about the makeup that we're choosing to buy, looking to art collections before we decide to buy something. Obviously, as I mentioned, I sometimes get PR, sometimes I buy things to review explicitly, and I try to be very reasonable about that, you know, whenever I am, and I just try to be very honest with you about how I feel about things as much as I can be. And that was kind of like what I was talking about this whole video. So I would love to have you subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I want to do a critical sass and I was supposed to film one this weekend and I just didn't get to it. It was a different weekend than I thought I was going to have, but here we are now. It is Sunday as I film this, so if I do that, there will probably be a bigger space between my videos because that just takes me a long time to edit. And I also haven't filmed one in a while, which means there's more stuff to talk about, all the classic. So just keep your eyes peeled. Also, if you haven't voted for me for Best of the Berg, I think you can still vote daily, so I will put that in the pinned comment down below. The link to vote for me for Best Influencer. It's in the personality category. I would appreciate it if you did. No pressure to do that. I'm also on Patreon and I have channel memberships. You get the same thing no matter where you are. Like you can join either one. You could join neither. There's no pressure to join my Patreon or memberships. I do some additional content over there. It's just a way to support me. It's a way to allow me to have a little more flexibility with what I'm able to buy to review. And also, you know, it's a little bit of a reward for me for like, again, this is work. But and no pressure. Liking, commenting, and sharing my content is the best way to support me. And that's, I think, the end of the video. Remember to follow your haute and you'll find me. I'll see you in a video very soon. Go forth. Tits out.